Hi and welcome to Dear Andy, where every week at SI.com we answer your college football and America's birthday culinary questions. Let's get right to this week's batch of questions. Our first one comes from Jeremy, and he asks, Dear Andy, what are realistic expectations for Maryland and Rutgers as they join the Big Ten? That's right, it's July. It's conference moving time. Maryland and Rutgers are officially members of the Big Ten. I know everyone's so excited about that outside of the Maryland and Rutgers fan bases. But it is an interesting question. What can Rutgers and Maryland reasonably expect? Well, the Big Ten was kind enough this year to create some easy to remember geographically based divisions. Unfortunately for the new guys, they wound up in the same division as Michigan State and Ohio State. Well, if Rutgers can keep running back Paul James, receiver Leonte Carew healthy, they're going to have some playmakers who can compete in the Big Ten. Defense is another story. This is a group that gave up 170 passes of 10 yards or more in 2013. That was the most in the country. If that keeps happening, Rutgers is going to have a hard time competing. Maryland's a little different story. If Maryland is healthy, the Terrapins could be pretty good. They have elite receivers. Stephon Diggs, Dion Long, maybe the best receiving tandem in the conference. They've got a good dual threat quarterback in C.J. Brown. They've got a ton of experience back on defense. I don't know, Maryland could be the surprise in the Big Ten this year. Stranger things have happened. Our next question comes from Cameron, and he asks, Dear Andy, can LSU win a national championship behind 3 freshmen on offense? I'm gonna hang up and listen. I guess you're handing the starting quarterback job to Brandon Harris. You're saying it's a freshman and not Anthony Jennings. Okay, we'll go with that. So can Brandon Harris and running back Leonard Fournette and receiver Malachi Dupree come in and put up big numbers to be better than Alabama and then Auburn and then Mississippi State and then Ole Miss? That is a huge question. But the good news for the Tigers is that they have 4 or 5 starters back on the offensive line, led by future very, very wealthy person Lael Collins at left tackle, that could make those young guys look a little bit more mature. On defense, they're going to get better. John Chavis is one of the best defensive coordinators in America. Freshman Rashard Robinson and Tre'Davious White got much better as the year went on at cornerback. They've got Danielle Hunter, who could be one of the better pass rushers in the SEC this year. The thing you've got to remember is there's always defensive talent in Baton Rouge. So if they can put that together, if that offensive line can block really well, they can compete in the SEC West in spite of having so much youth in the skill positions. Our next question comes from Peter, and he asks, Dear Andy, how quickly, if at all, does Chris Petersen turn Washington into a legitimate national title contender? This is a great question because I've always been fascinated by the idea of Chris Petersen with power conference talent. This is going to be really interesting. Now, obviously, if you can compete with Oregon and Stanford and beat them for that Pac-12 North Division title, you're in the national title hunt. There's no question about that. Can Washington do that is the question. That's not outside the realm of possibility with Chris Petersen having a few years to build the program. It's not outside the realm of possibility this year. Steve Sarkisian left that program in a really healthy place. They've got Siler Miles at quarterback. He looks like he could be a quality Pac-12 starting quarterback. He'll be throwing to a group that calls itself the Legion of Zoom. On the other side of the ball, you've got linebacker Shaq Thompson, one of the best in the country, leading a group of 7 returning starters. I wouldn't count Washington out in that Pac-12 North race. Our final question comes from our friends at Bulldog Sports Radio in lovely Stark Vegas, Mississippi. They ask, how do you like to barbecue your hamburgers? Now boys, I know you're kidding. You're from Mississippi. You know what these words mean. You don't barbecue a hamburger. But while we're on the subject, and since the 4th of July is coming up, allow me a little time for a public service announcement. If you are at a gathering on Friday and your host offers you a choice between a hot dog and a hamburger, you are not at a barbecue, you are at a cookout. Barbecue is dead animal meat smoked low and slow. That's the definition. So, please don't talk about going to a barbecue and eating a hamburger. Don't talk about putting a hot dog on the barbecue. Only Australians can call a grill a barbecue. You're not Australian. Get it right. You're either at a cookout or you're eating barbecue the way the good Lord intended. For SI.com, I'm Andy Staples.